I'll tell you a few stories, just because this is so important to kind of get the point and how to respond. I was working with a new staff member. Her name was Lisa. She had read all the manuals, passed all the tests, and had all the knowledge, dementia knowledge. And she was vacuuming the living room, and Margie was sitting in a lazy boy chair, and Lisa just bumped the chair she was sitting on. Well, Margie jumped out of that chair and ran over and got about that close to Lisa and said, "You hit me!" "No, I didn't." "You hit me!" "No, I would never hit you." "You hit me and you hate me." I walked up behind Lisa and I said, "Tell her you're sorry." "Huh? Tell her you're sorry." "I'm sorry." "Tell her you'll never do it again." "I'll never do it again." "Ask her if she'll forgive you." "Will you forgive me?" "Tell her you'll make her a cup of tea." "Can I make you some tea?" "Oh, okay." And now she backed off, sat back down. A few minutes later, she's drinking her tea when we were fine. But that's a great example. Lisa would have never, ever, ever been able to convince Margie that she had not hit her. Often we have to respond to their perception, not what really happened. One day I made Joe his favorite breakfast. 2 eggs over easy, a couple pieces of bacon, not too crisp, toast with strawberry jam. And after he'd been eating them for a little bit, I went up to him and said, "So Joe, how's your breakfast?" And I was expecting his normal response, "You're the best baker." But this morning he said, "These eggs are way too salty." "Joe, I'm so sorry. Here, let me fix you another set." No, it's okay. I'll eat them today." What didn't I do? I didn't tell Joe that I never put salt on his eggs, that his salt didn't have egg. I didn't put salt on his eggs that morning. I didn't try to reason with him and say, well, maybe the salty flavor's coming from the bacon. No, just let Joe be right. And why is this so hard? Because a lot of times it comes out of the blue. It's behavior we've never seen before. One night I was walking Mabel down the hall. I was going to get her ready for bed. And just the sweetest, most caring, kind, gentle woman I've ever cared for. Always appreciative. Had never seen any signs of hallucinations or delusional thinking. And out of the blue, her body language starts to change. Her voice tone goes up and she goes, my kids, I have to go put my kids to bed. What did I do? Mabel, you have done so much for me today. I know you have to be tired. Start out with something you know they'll agree with. Uh-huh. I'll tell you what, Mabel, why don't I help you get tucked in and then I'll put the kids to bed tonight. You do that for me, honey? After everything you've done for me, it's the least I can do. Truly, 15 minutes later, kiss, kiss, hug, hug, and she was sound asleep. Once again, what didn't I do? I did not try to tap into all of, was it Mabel? Mabel's abilities that are declining and perhaps diminishing. I didn't try to reason with her. I didn't say, Mabel, how old are you now? So how old would that make your kids? No. I didn't remind her that her grandkids were in to visit earlier that week. You know, as much as we would just love to reach out and grab Mabel and explain and reason and pull her back to our reality, it's not possible. The best caregivers are the caregivers that have the knack to know that they need to step into Mabel's reality and take her concerns and fears seriously. Help them save face. This always brings up stories of being incontinent. And I have said things like, oh, don't worry about it. I did the same thing yesterday. And you know, oftentimes, what works for one person doesn't work for someone else. just because they get dementia don't mean that they're not individuals. And sometimes they will give us the solutions. A very good friend of my father's, I'll call him Harold, knew him for 40 years, had dementia. We took care of him at the end. And during the day, Harold would recognize sensation and know that he had to go to the bathroom, and he could find his way to the bathroom, and he could pretty much assist himself. We might have to remind him to wash his hands by, you know what, just turn the water on. That's enough of a reminder. But at night, he was starting to be having accidents. He was becoming incontinent. And this was a little scary because I knew Harold liked to sleep in the nude. So, I know. But we had tried the Depends, and I went in to check on him, and there were the dry Depends laying on the floor beside his bed. And it doesn't take a detective to recognize the smell of urine in the air. So I knew that Harold was going to be laying in that bed soaking wet. So I walked up and you know, oh, here's another just little tip. Instead of saying, it's time to get up, you have to get cleaned, we're going to get dressed, just say, I came to see if you're ready for breakfast. It's just a happier topic. And so I did that. I said, Harold, hi, I'm just here to see if you're, ready for breakfast. Oh, I could see the embarrassment on his face. He pulled the covers up around his neck. And he said, well, that beepity beep ceiling must have leaked all over me last night. I was like, yay. I said, I'm so sorry, Harold. I will get that maintenance man in here and we will get that fixed. Please let me at least give you some clean sheets. Can I help you? Well, all right. And, but what did we do with that information? I told every single caregiver on that floor about it. Why? So actually I should say when, the next time they found Harold wet, they would say, Harold, I am so sorry. That roof, we can leave out the beepity beep, but that roof leaked last night and it's all over your bed and I'm so sorry and I will call that maintenance man. But yeah, so let them give you their solutions sometimes. Oh, here's a great one. Give them opportunities to talk about themselves and familiar topics. Stories are just such an easy way of, making a point. But Linda, I met many years ago. She was 95 years old. The first day that I spent time with her was so fun. Linda told me about how she could speak 3 languages, English, German, and Polish. And she told me how her dad used to make sauerkraut, and she'd giggle when she got to the point about how Dad would wash his feet really good and get right in the crock of cabbage and salt brine and stomping around. I guess they really did that. She told me that she loved potato pancakes. She walked me through every single step in sequence on how she makes potato pancakes. And then, one of my favorite stories she would tell me is, I used to work at Winkleman's. You did? I was a seamstress. Wow. Yep. And one day, this very rich lady came in, and she had bought a white mink coat, but it was that much too long. So this lady, this very rich lady, wanted me not only to cut it off and hem it, but she wanted me to turn that leftover material into a muff. And so I went home and I took apart an old muff and I made a pattern out of newspaper and I went back in, and by the end of the week I had shortened that lady's coat and made her a muff. That's incredible, in less than a week. And when that rich lady came in to pick up the coat, she was so proud of me. She said I was the best seamstress she ever had. And my boss was happy too. He gave me a nickel raise. That's so nice. I'm so proud of you, Linda.